All right. I still think half a gallon now.
I would say so.
All right. We are in session. Quorum. We need to have a motion to accept the minutes of May the 20th. And a second. Second. Any discussion? No. All those in favor? Dylan? Aye. Aye. Pete? Yes. Motion is carried.
I think you got that everything.
Oh, come on.
No.
Boy, I'll get another.
I'm having too much fun.
Yeah.
All right. So the renewal of the bills for the Tarantine Yacht Golf Club and Yacht Club.
Could you help me figure out how to get this?
What's that, Dana? Did you get a motion for visitor comment?
Yeah.
Speaker to work?
Yes, for visitor comments that are not on this.
All right, visitor comments that are not listed on here. I thought we were gonna do that afterwards. Okay.
Oh, it looks like Harriet has her hand.
Harriet. You're on mute.
Yes, okay. Last time I presented about the grant application that we're doing, and I circulated the draft letter and application. And so I just thought I'd come on and see if there were any questions. I know you agreed to it last time, but I had
Okay,
said I would
I'm
circulate this stuff.
I signed the new letter.
Okay.
So we don't,
Steve, I think if we go.
Okay.
What do
You signed the letter and you sent it to who? To Cressica?
It's right here.
Oh,
I was-
okay.
is there a reason we didn't get the whole board to sign this one? Do we typically have the whole board sign these sorts of things? Is
No,
there-
I think it's okay if just the chair signs. You can do whichever way you want.
It doesn't require the town. There's no match.
Correct.
There's no money involved.
Right.
No.
No, we've done this a bunch though. We've done this for numerous organizations and numerous letters. So I just want to
I think Harriet and just all of us, we have a new administration, we have a new we're all learning for the
Right.
next, meetings. So, I think Pete's experience in that and my secondary experience. So I do believe that we typically have kind of a general.
yeah, the first letter that was signed at the board when I started my time, I did not sign because I disagreed with it. So I don't disagree with this, but
Yeah.
I think it would be wise to
Well,
maintain.
can we just countersign this letter right now?
Yeah. Yes.
Is that okay with you?
Sure, we,
And then if you could, get either scan and send me the signed copy, or if Carrie can do that, that would be great.
All right.
Okay.
well,
Well,
we need to rewrite the salutation. To have our,
It says the Isles for the select board.
okay,
I don't know. Is there
You can
something
print your names.
you want to just write your name at the bottom and sign it?
Do you want me to quickly add the names and print it out before the end of the meeting?
Fine.
that would be great.
Okay.
Okay, there you go.
Okay. Yeah, and then Carrie, would you be able to scan and send me the signed copy?
Yes.
Okay, great, thanks.
All right. So are there visitors' comments? Questions? Yes?
I just had I wanted to come and actually I've had a couple more questions about is there gonna be more discussion about the excavator and old business or anything like that?
I think we have did I see something, Carrie?
Yes, there was
about
an email from Janet on
Right,
it,
and it's in our packet.
but it may not have been in the public packet, so
No.
could you read it to
All
her?
right. Am I find it?
Pink paper.
Yeah.
It's pink?
I just had, I really just had comments, but I didn't know if now was the time to to do that.
According to Janet, is the excavator update. We are now looking at a Sani excavator. The Kubota was quoted us last December, has gone up from $72,890 from $65,190. The 2026 Sani is that the way you pronounce it anyway, is $61,889, giving us funds to purchase an appropriate trailer for towing with brakes and lights and keeping under the 10,000 pounds. When Jody is back from vacation, we will firm things up, and Tom is investigating the trailer with On the Road. And I'll see him later after I return.
Who is Jody?
Jordy.
Jordy, okay.
Sorry.
So I do have a couple of comments. I'm trying to take up too much of your time, because I've had a couple conversations with, some contractors, and I'm still kind of blown away that you would go for an excavator, considering the difference between a larger tractor and an excavator. I understand very well what the use of an excavator is, and I understand what a tractor is. You know, if you're trying to do something that's going to enable you to have like a ability to do certain things that you're having trouble with other people to do, signing on for a bid or whatever, your excavator is limiting you guys tremendously. A tractor, you have a bucket, you can get a backhoe, you got a field mower for the septic thing up there that you put out to bid. It will mow the sides of the road. They come literally with an attachment on the side that can do the roadside trimming. They do reach past 15 feet. Bill and I have been looking at these for the past year, just curious, because he's like, I can do that. I can trim the sides of the road. So I don't understand, you can help with snow clearing, you can dig up forks, you can help lift things,
So
So,
the
yeah.
price is the price of the tractor with all these attachments
that's
similar to
not
what
my
you-
job. That's not my job. That's my statement is that, I think it's a little crazy to get an excavator. You're limiting a real important tool that could be so helpful to the town.
Yep.
Um,
So, and I had concerns after our last meeting, so I had the specs sent to me. And I am not an expert on this, so I just wanna, but the excavator the concept is the arm, as you just talked about. And the extra tool is that very large, very aggressive, I don't even know. how to
It's a
say it.
vulture.
I was gonna say chomping, but mulcher is much better tool that does that.
No,
That works. So that part of the tool, that tool seems to be the right tool for that job. Now, whatever device it goes onto, I think, is up for discussion.
Mulching, I will tell you that those big mulchers will destroy forests. And the sides of the roads are a little bit different, but there's some issues with those.
Okay, I mean, there could be, and I'm not but we're not doing forestry, we're doing
Right.
cutback on a certain distance from a road.
An excavator is great for doing forestry, lifting logs and things like that. A tractor is much more usable for, in my personal opinion, and some conversations I've had, getting an excavator, the town getting an excavator instead of getting something like a tractor, which is a very useful tool overall. You don't have to, move it everywhere with a trailer. It can go up and down. the
Yeah, but
road.
a tractor, I mean, again, let me ask you this, I've seen the backhoe capability, of again, educate me. But the arm that goes up doesn't appear to be that significantly high. Would it be equal to or better than whatever they're proposing?
There are tools, there's attachments out there that you may find will do exactly what you need.
All right, well,
I think the concern, because I've also heard this similar concern from other people. The concern is kind of exactly what Julia is saying, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Julie, that while the excavator can do one of the tasks that we want it to do, there are other presumably comparably priced pieces of equipment that would allow us to do more that we want to do. And why are we throwing our eggs all into the one basket of a machine that can do one of 5 tasks? Like pretty well versus a machine that can do 4 or 5 out of the 5 tasks. And is that correct?
Yes, I
So,
think, yeah.
so I wonder, is there room for conversation before we sign this check to buy this thing, or? And if so, how do we
get someone who has expertise in this to,
What's the primary use for this equipment? To cut the sides of the road?
cutting back?
Does
So
the town, do we currently have a tractor?
No.
I'm inclined to agree with Julie that a tractor may be a more,
utilitarian,
versatile
Yeah,
versatile machine, for that type of thing. And maybe I'm sort of jumping in here, but maybe we explore this a little bit more. I can try to read some of the.
well, we
past
really need to
minutes.
find if someone has expertise that can assist Dave. I mean, our job, we brought the, funding in that. We're not here to determine what is purchased. The town manager and the team should, so, but I hear there's a concern, so how do we address that?
I think Janet and Dave and whoever else, Merck or somebody else, should get together and consider this alternative proposal. I assume that there is some price differential. I don't know how we are currently doing the tasks that you're saying the tractor would do, that the excavator can't do. But we were merely, I think, considering this from the point of view of being unable at the moment to trim the sides, the overhanging vegetation on the side of the road. Now, if there are other tasks that we need to do that we're not doing, or could do it more efficiently, or have more capability, I would certainly think that's an appropriate. We ought to get an expert opinion on that. I don't even know what we have at the moment.
Do you think that part of the consideration was the cost of the actual tractor?
What do you mean?
Well, I'm
no.
going online right now and it says utility tractors are at the upper price range of them that reaches 100 horsepower is $80,000.
Different tractors, different sizes.
All right, so,
Yeah.
no, when I propose, and this year, but so one of the biggest complaints by the towns was, all that trucks, paint job stuff are being
They're being
scraped. So, and we hadn't been able to find an external, or maybe we had, whatever, I don't want to go down that road. But the point was, we were gonna put funds in for the town to buy a piece of equipment to address that issue. Because it was the number one issue that kept coming back to me and others. So that's and then it's up to the town, and they came back with these things. So I mean.
The town literally thought, they voted on buying a tractor, not an excavator. It was stated and it was not corrected at town meeting.
Okay, well, I think we need to look at those.
I think so.
Yeah, because
before my next thing, look at one?
I just wanna make sure the main idea of buying this is to trim the trees on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Right.
yes,
But
I mean-
can those mulchers even do that? Are we sure?
the
Because
one I read, and I read into the specs, definitely could do that.
They literally reach up
Yeah.
and go down the tree and.
Yeah.
right, they go down the tree, but like,
No, but they can, yeah,
you know,
the point
straight
is,
line. It's,
I read enough that it does the job now as a novice.
So,
Oh, you, go ahead.
I was just gonna make a motion that we, turn this email back to Janet and say that the select board has concerns about the purchase of the proper piece of equipment, and we would like to research it further before we sign off on it.
So moved. Second,
Second,
all those in favor? Discussion, exactly.
I got you.
Is there any discussion, further discussion?
Julie's.
Yes,
I just wanna thank you for listening.
okay,
And
well,
stuff, tax dollars are kind of critical right now.
for myself, I think you've made a compelling case for further study anyway.
Thank you.
So all those in favor?
All right,
Aye. All right, any other, visitors' comments?
I just noticed there's some activity here. If the town have a list of needs for equipment, then ask someone to match the need with the right piece of the equipment. I have found union equipment to be very helpful, both what is needed and what kind of units will do what jobs. That's from Amy Mulnix.
I think we'd be wise to turn to the people that have done these jobs for us in the
Totally.
past, to ask what
yeah,
they do, is our, you know, they live here too, they don't want their taxes going to.
Yeah, I'd be curious what Mert's opinion was,
Exactly.
honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of this discussion took place without our involvement.
Right.
And it would be nice to know what led to this choice, and
Yeah, I think we all accept that there's a real need to trim the sides of the road. What's the best way to do that? Clearly, this group is not the best authority on that subject.
all right.
All right, any other visitor comments or questions or anything else? All right, so then we are going to go to this question of the Vittles renewals, and apparently
Hold on.
yes, sorry.
So this is a public hearing, so you have to make a motion to go into public hearing before you have discussion on it.
All right, so we have a motion to go into public hearing.
I make the motion to go into public hearing.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, okay.
Yeah. And then
So
you'll have.
now we can talk about the Vittles renewals, and what I understand is that the Tarantine is waiting for the state to do a water test, and that we can approve this pending their getting and supplying this water test.
Well, what about
It
the
has to happen.
Big Island Grill Company?
I can't comment on that. I would like to ask real quick though, that we pushed the Terratine thing to this week because
Yes.
they didn't have their water test results.
Well,
So I do just want to point out that we would be wise to not now this week approve it without those same results.
okay, well, what I was told, and I defer to you, was that, they are not in control of getting the water test, that this has to be the state that does that. And we can approve this pending the receipt of this, state mandated and carried out water test.
Because they're on the state, they're on the public water supply, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, I would have made the argument last week, or last time we talked about it, that we approve it because they've never had problems in the past and that we
Right.
can assume that they'll pass, but we did vote as a board to push it off because it wasn't present, and I think it would, if we've been talking recently about making sure that we do exactly what we've said publicly that we're gonna do and stick with those things, it's just something to chew on. I mean, if we wanna accept it pending that, great, if not, it will keep them track a little bit.
Perhaps
Previously
we
said.
could accept it pending by the next meeting. I mean, it was 2 weeks and now we're gonna give them 2 more weeks.
I think
I
this
mean,
is
our way.
approval pending, the receiving this would be through the 22nd of June, it's the latest. Is that correct?
According to Janet's memo, they don't open until June 22nd.
Oh, I see.
And traditionally, the select board has approved it this way by making it contingent upon receipt of the water test, and they don't pick, we hold it here at the town office until that's received. And they pick it up.
So
when it's
we
ready.
approve this and it stays in the town office until they supply the state instead.
Sounds reasonable.
Yeah, they are on a public drinking water system, so they are not responsible for drawing their own tests.
Okay,
So
so
that is correct.
So do we need to vote to approve,
so
to sign this thing?
sign this.
So when you're in public hearing, you can't take any action, so if you're ready to take action and approve something, you can exit public hearing
Okay.
by a vote.
So I still wanna know about this Big Island Grill.
I can't speak to it.
It's already,
No, I'm just-
according to this, it's already been approved.
Oh.
No, it's not been approved, but all the
I mean, they've got all,
information has been received.
right.
Okay,
We're not in the same situation.
so I'm in seriousness, why is that company on this list then?
Which one?
Your, yeah,
Because I follow the same victual requirements they do.
but I mean,
Well,
what are we
because
missing?
We
Mine-
didn't have it, now we do have it.
So my water test is, what they're missing from Territon is water test results.
Yeah.
I just didn't have all my ducks in a row
Oh,
2 weeks
okay.
ago. Now I have them all.
You've submitted all?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, well then we're,
Yeah.
okay,
All right,
not clear.
so now we need to move, go off, out of public hearing.
Yeah.
Yes,
All
we're
right.
done with the discussion.
I move that we go out of public hearing.
All right, second, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, and now we can sign this pending.
I didn't know, Pete, I just.
And now you need to
No,
vote
no.
to approve,
We need to vote to approve.
approve both of those.
All right, can we have a motion to approve
All right, let me,
the
So-
town license?
I make a motion that we approve the Big Island Grill as is, and that the Terratine Club is, approved
Pending.
pending the
Production.
water test prior to the June
All
22nd.
right, we have a second?
I second.
All right, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Okay, so we
I'm abstaining.
sign on the two documents there. All right, can we go to the next item on the agenda now?
Yeah.
All right, the ferry service update. Peter, do you have something to report?
No, I sent you the report of the last advisory board meeting,
Right,
and, aside from that, I'm just here to see what happens with the ticket plan for the summer.
okay, and that's later on in the agenda, the old business. I think there is no update on the sea level rise. Jay is not on.
I signed Territon.
So, Steve, are you ready to give us an update on the Island Public Safety Garage?
Sure. So I've had meetings on both the renovation and the public, or the Island Public Safety Garage. Renovation, has moved along. There's, the wall has, been opened up, so there's an entry into what's gonna future be the kitchen area. The work is done based on rain days, so recently, we haven't had a lot of work, but that's moving along. The Up Island Safety Garage, work advancement is really been slow, and we're pushing. We had a meeting on this on Monday with the committee and the architects, and there seems to be a little bit with our contractor, some, kind of false negative, false positives or whatever to why it's being a little delayed. But the main thing we're trying to get done right now is finish up the drywall, which he said would be coming out in the next few days. The electrical needs to be brought in. And let's see, what's the other? The septic work is moving forward. So it's a little what do I want to say? broken up, and slow. So, you know, but we do have a date that the generator's coming in the next few weeks. So we've told them we have to have the electric, put on the building so CMP can connect that so we can get the generator. So I'll probably have a more solid, update on that, but renovation's going pretty well. The up island's been slow.
Do we have, is the Up Island Garage, this came up in conversation a while back too, about town contracts and not necessarily contracts not necessarily having clauses in them for failure to provide services. Are we exploring that?
There is a clause in there on performance, but there's no teeth to it. So,
Okay.
you know, I mean,
So we don't have much.
there's not a
We
penalty,
kind of are just work on their mercy.
right? But then again, we can hold what,
I just didn't know if that was
yeah, so we can. The contract is the contract, and I think, I completely agree with you. I mean, we
So
need,
going forward, we have to really figure out how to.
yeah, we need our attorneys to put in a performance mode. Yes,
Yes, Alana has a question.
why is it that work is only done on rain days?
for the renovation, because the contractor
No,
that
for
we,
Up Island.
oh no, I'm sorry. There's two different, no, the renovation is done basically when there's rain going on, so it's inside work.
Okay.
That has nothing to do, I'm sorry, with the up island. No, you know, two different contractors, two different contracts.
Are the,
Yeah.
there's one.
Yes, go ahead.
Are the doors for the Up Island, station available? Are they? The doors, it's just, yeah.
The big doors,
yeah,
from what I, yes,
they're not installed yet, though, right?
right, there's been a termination, well, so we agreed that there was a need maybe for some more light. So there was gonna be, which would change order, put windows on the side, which would be expensive, so the discussion was on Monday to not do that. But the two doors that we've ordered, change those out for doors that have windows on them to provide additional light. So, but yes, the doors are there,
Is there a time frame for when those might be installed?
not today.
Okay, there's a question.
Amy has her hand raised.
Want to call
Go
them?
ahead, Amy. What
Hi,
did he say?
hi. So my understanding is that the Gallants were doing the renovation for the public safety area, and I'm wondering if we have anticipated that they've had tragedy in their life and what that might mean for the schedule for completion of that project. I may be wrong, but that's what I've been told.
We had a meeting on Monday, that was not brought up in that meeting, the committee meeting, so,
Fantastic. That's great to hear.
okay.
Okay, any other questions from the audience? All right, upcoming meetings and subcommittee reports. There's Islesboro Municipal Broadband on June the 10th. The Sea Level Rise Committee is meeting on June 11th, and the Planning Board is meeting on June 15th.
We also have the housing committee tomorrow,
So the Housing Committee.
What time is that?
5 o'clock.
Here?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
All right. The town manager's report is only to say that the town office will be closed Friday, June 19th, in observance of June 15th. Is there anything else in the town manager's report?
yes, she wanted to make sure you saw that included in your packet are minutes from the Islesboro Energy Committee of 4/7 and minutes from the Health Center Advisory Board from May 20th.
Yeah.
Correspondence May 24th email from Attorney Kristen Collins regarding Dylan Purington's election to the select board and her suggestion to move more formally toward the town manager form of government. Your email for that, and handouts, spreadsheet on town meeting attendance from 2014 through 2026, and June Public Works vacation schedule.
All right, any discussion about the town manager's report?
Can I ask this question?
Yes.
What is, town manager, whatever that comment was, that was read, the town manager form of operation or something? I'm just kind of wondering what that means in comparison to what you're doing now.
Would you like to read, the attorney's email on that?
Not if it's long, really.
Well, so there's a highlighted section at the very bottom. I was curious too when I got this. And it says basically it would provide that Janet would appoint and oversee department heads and other officials more so than appointing and approving. Is that correct? From my understanding is
Okay.
it would cede more oversight basically to her of.
Okay. Thank you.
And that's why Dylan gets to be there.
Yes.
I am unaware of why that came up, this question of.
Something to do with Dylan, because she would be,
Right.
whether he reports for us or to her and where.
No, I read that. Okay. So is there any further discussion of the town manager's report? So we will move now to sign disbursement warrant for wages,
You have done that.
and we've done that. Okay? This is not the warrant, which is item number 9. All right. So then we have we need a motion to approve the beginning of the ferry ticket program on June due to a donation. John, did you want to make some remarks about that?
Sure. I think that's on because at the time of the last meeting, the donation funds had not been received by the town. Since the last meeting, excuse me, after our discussion back on the 20th, I sent an email to Bill Geary and E.J. DuPont, basically just advising them of the passage of the warrant and kind of giving them a notion of what we were going to be dealing with and just kind of giving them a heads up. Since then, I've talked to EJ and I have a meeting, a telephonic meeting scheduled with him tomorrow following this meeting. I've met with Brian a number of times. Met with Janet to be advised that the money is now in the town coffers somewhere. So we've got the money to buy tickets and Brian and I met and I sent another email to EJ basically saying that pending approval by you folks, we would be prepared to buy approximately 300 vehicle tickets, $350 walk-ons, and 300 minor walk-ons, which brings us very close to the $25,000 donation. And in terms of a timeline, I talked to Brian and Janet and other folks about that, and I thought, I should say, I've spoken with Holly, given her a copy of a very minor revised agreement. Holly had advised us that because once we get into the major part of the program, which would be in July, we would be buying bulk tickets. And because we're buying bulk tickets, if someone loses a ticket, the state ferry service doesn't have a way to go back
Audit and find that
with
one.
and
Yeah.
find it. So I had to, we revised the language a little bit to say, don't lose your tickets. And Holly also said that apparently the ink becomes, can fade if you leave it in the sunlight. So don't leave your tickets on your windshield or, underneath the windshield.
Warm spot.
So, that's the only substantive change that we've made. I've also sent a copy of that revised agreement to, EJ down in Rockland and, copied, Joel Perry as well. He's the business manager down there. So in terms of the timeline, I think in your, materials, you've got a copy of the revised agreement that heads of household would agree to. I revised the overview. I've got a draft of something we could send out by to Constant Contact, and the idea would be, assuming you folks agree, we've got enough time so that beginning next week, we could send a Constant Contact message out. And post notices to the effect that, we're ready to rock and roll. And, give folks and with that, as attachments to the emails, send a copy of, the agreement as well. And ask people to talk about it in their phones and sign it and bring it into the office. So, because we have to have the agreement before we can sell anybody tickets. The idea would be to maybe try to start selling them, on the 15th of June. So that would give us 2 weeks of June. I don't know who the donor is, but it would at least give us a 2-week jump on the fiscal year, which begins July 1. So it, since that time, I've also sent, BJ another, email just kind of talking about going forward. It's gonna be, Brian and I are gonna try to monitor the sales so we know what the demand is in the 3 different categories. Until we do that, can't really say. I mean, we've got a budget, but whether or not that's reality remains to be seen. So, I think we can get going with 2 weeks of June left, and, I just wanted to bring you folks up to speed and happy to answer any questions you might have.
I have a few, and at least one of which I don't think that you're the one to ask, but, and this might just be my ignorance for whatever reason. I don't know that we as a board know anything about this donation, aside from how much it was for. And I don't know, because I haven't read the fine print of how the board operates, if we would typically be given some level of information about the donation, not whether it's anonymous or not, but kind of like how it originated, where it's meant to go, what the actual conversation was. And I stick very firmly to my belief that we voted as a town on this program starting on July 1st. And that as such, we should not start earlier with this money, that we should take this money and use it to alleviate the cost to the taxpayers of the program itself. I don't know if we have any oversight on that. I think it's a dangerous precedent to set a vote on a date and then find out that just because we can, we are now going to change the date of the program starting. I think that seems kind of like this tractor excavator situation, that we need to not vote on one thing and then behind the scenes immediately after change what the reality is. And this question, John, I think you can help me with. The $50,000 or $54,000 figure that we came up with for this year was strictly for July through the end of peak season, correct? Or
Well, actually,
it was based on starting in July.
when we developed a budget, it was for basically a 4-month period. So
So
that,
it would have included June.
yes,
So we should not expect that next year, when the $54,000 program is put back to the voter, that it will in reality be closer to 70 or 80,000, because we've had to now take this 25,000 to start it ahead of when we said we would. Like, I just want to make, because that's almost like that's a 50% jump in that mill rate increase for the taxpayer. And I want to make sure that we're not setting ourselves up to, by default, go next year, put this in front of people at 70 or 80,000 instead of 54.
I don't think I can answer that question as much as I would like to. It could go the other way too. It all depends upon the demand.
Correct.
And if the demand is less than what we have based the budget on, there could be money left over. So that next year's budget, if there is a next year's budget, could be less as opposed to more. I just,
Right.
the committee has stressed all along that this is really kind of a pilot program, kind of a dip your toe in the water type of thing, which is why
the reality, I mean,
approved
but I think we know
the
this.
$54,000 at the town meeting.
correct.
And there was no caveat original in coming up with that figure. It was gonna buy a certain quantity of tickets. In any month. And it just happened that the town budget did not allow for the town approved budget to be used until July 1st, because that's when the budget year started. But going into this next year, I think we would have to either vote to increase the amount by the $25,000 or go back. The donor would have to come forward and pick up the difference.
Well,
I don't think it's crazy to think that this program's gonna go away now that it's it.
Well, but with all due respect, the limitation that we have placed on it is kind of our attempt to rationally address what we think will be a reasonable program. I can't answer your first question.
Right, that's more for us.
Because because
like I would think we should know more information.
I was told on the day of the hearing by the former chair that the basis for the donation was to begin the program as early as possible.
That's more than I've heard from anybody else.
I actually know who the donor is.
I think I do as well. We won't say it, but the point is that that's more information than I've got about it. And I was the acting chair of the board at the time.
Well, in fairness to the board, in fairness to the donor,
Right.
who I don't know who the donor is. But in fairness to that person, if he or she cares to remain anonymous, I think that should be respected.
Absolutely.
That was never.
Yeah.
Well, I just
Yeah.
wanted to say that.
Yeah.
I just mean like you saying that you had a conversation the day of the town meeting with the past chair about this donation is more information than I received as I sat at that table, as I slid into my role as acting chair. And then I was told, you gotta ask Shay about it. So like, I just mean like for us as a board, that feels like garbage to me. And we need to, how can we vote to start this thing based on a sum of money that we know nothing about? Right?
Well, we know what the sum is.
Yeah.
We know the sum. Do we know?
Well,
May I say a couple of things? One, Pete, I think it's a very reasonable question to raise and want to know, perhaps in executive session or whatever, more about the donor and so forth. Because if it were a Jeffrey Epstein figure, for example, that was donating the money, the town might just, it doesn't want. So that seems reasonable to me. In terms of the start date, if the money is a gift, and the town voted significantly to start a program with its money when that money is available. I don't see, unless the board's going to go back to the town and ask for a vote that the town wants to accept the money and start the program early, I don't know why there's a problem accepting the money. And in terms of next year and what happens next year and thereon, that's next year. And anyone who doesn't like the program is welcome next year to raise it and say, let's vote it out.
Well, so, and I'll just sort of respond to what you just said. I have no concern over who this donor is. That makes zero difference to me whatsoever. I work with a lot of donations in my other jobs. I'm familiar with somewhat how earmarks work and how dedicated to certain programs works. I would love to know what this donation was destined for. Was it meant to go to helping to offset the cost in general? Was it meant to go to starting the program early? Was it meant to, and then also, like you said, Dale, that the town as a whole voted on their money starting on a specific date. This now is somebody else's money and a different date. And something about that kind of rubs me sort of the wrong way. If we'd like to hang on to it and maybe we can use it to offset the cost to start in June of next year, I would think that would be a reasonable compromise in my mind, but I just think I don't know, I just feel that we have on like multiple occasions, past couple of months, we have bumped into these situations where we say one thing, we put a different thing out, and then we somehow wind up voting kind of like on a third situation. And we gotta get that straight.
Yeah, so I'm gonna jump in. So I voiced my concern about that to John in some meetings. I also, we saw this when we went through the health center budget, we cut it and there was a donation to offset, the difference. I've changed my opinion on this based on, some reflection and discussions on the fact that, there's money there. The town voted for it to start, town voted to approve the program. The money becomes available July 1. So it's not a question the program's been approved, Now we have money that could be used to start it a little early. I'd love that to decrease the overall program cost, but the donation's there to start the program now. So my opinion, Pete, everything Pete said, I have pretty much agreement, but I just think that, the goal of the program is to help the islanders who need help, with reducing costs. We can start that now and it doesn't cost us anything. My opinion has changed. I'm gonna vote for, I would support that.
Steve, could I, may I speak? Yeah, I just quickly, just for clarification, I think it's been said, but let's be clear. During the last meeting, the town was going to go off and talk to the lawyers about the legality of having already had taxpayers vote on a particular amount of money, and then have additional money added to that, even if it is from an external donor, and whether or not that was optically good or even legally good to do. And because the question was raised during the last meeting, what would you do with the extra money if you don't spend it? And the answer was, well, we'll just put it in the general fund.
Yeah,
well, I think optically that's not very good for a town. And I certainly, as a taxpayer, don't need that kind of shenanigans going on, with money floating around. Like, oh, we'll just take more of it. We'll just put it in the general fund and we'll use it for something, whatever we decide later. That's why it was brought up last time. It was an optics and legal question. I want to know, well, I would put it to did you hear back from the lawyer?
I don't believe we did get any comment back on this.
Yeah, we haven't heard anything from Janet or the lawyer or.
I mean, I think it is somehow relevant here,
We're talking about.
acknowledging Pete and Steve's comments here, that the original, the fee on the ferry goes up on June the 1st. And it seemed to me, the will of the people in the town meeting was to provide some relief from higher fees, and it just happens that the town budget only, the money approved in the town budget only would be available after July 1st. So you're left with June with the higher fee and without the support. And personally, I think, if somebody steps up and anonymously wants to subsidize that, swing that period of time between mid-June and early July, providing that does not, as Pete said, indicate that we are now going to put $79,000 or whatever it is in the budget next year, or we're not carrying that implication. I don't personally have a problem with, I don't think we're really undermining the will of the people by further subsidizing the program that they already approved.
But they approved it based on it starting on July 1st.
Well, I realize,
Regardless of what it was that led them to approve it based on that date, that's what we said. We said July 1st.
So I'm gonna
It
make.
would be
a
my
motion.
argument.
All right, go ahead.
I just am wondering, shouldn't, you guys are basically the people who run the town, with Janet, in conjunction with Janet. Shouldn't we see what the lawyer has said about this?
Yeah, so I'm gonna make a motion. My motion is that we go ahead and approve the spending, of the anonymous funds. Now, and begin the program as soon as possible, based on a report back from the attorney that the town is not, I don't really know how to phrase this, breaking, any. We're breaking a precedent, but any particular rules that would be in any rules, period, I guess, but and if we get that back, tell Janet to do that tomorrow, get that thing back in the next day or two. If there's,
Janet is in New York, but
And no vacation for a weekend.
all right, well, the town doesn't,
That would be,
yeah, that's you or me, no, but any of us could
Yes.
communicate to the attorney. So that's my motion, that based on
so
a
continue.
positive response from the attorney, that we go ahead and authorize the spending of this anonymous dollars, and on July 1, then utilize the dollars of the town budget.
And Pete, you're feeling that's not appropriate.
Well, let's.
no, we haven't,
Yeah.
not much time to say it yet.
Yeah, so there, you have to, is
You
there
need
a
a
second?
second.
I second.
All right, discussion.
I hope we'll speak.
Yeah. I think as long as the donation is not coming from a nefarious entity, I don't really see how this is that big of a problem as long as it's not illegal.
Right.
All right,
I,
is other discussion?
yeah, is that okay? I just, to that point, that last point, some people may see it. I tend to see it this way, is that when we asked last time, what's going to happen to this money? And if we don't use it during this budget, which was because we had a specific number the town voted on, it will just go into the general fund. Well, that's like a slush fund. That's like the government just sort of, milking off the teat, right? And it's putting it somewhere else for some other purpose later, that 25, if it's not used this year. I don't think the taxpayer, I don't think it's fair to the taxpayer. I know it sounds great. More money in the pot, right? But, right, we're a small town. Vote on the things you vote on, you agree to the things you agree on, and there's no other things moving around. And I would worry that that's the optics that will happen, even if it isn't illegal.
But that was a comment, that was a general comment that it was a comment by an individual that, and I totally agree with that.
No, it's a comment by me, right? I'm saying it as a voter and as a taxpayer. Here's what I would suggest. If you could give the money back, the 25,000 comes back to the taxpayer. who's already paid in and agreed to pay the 59 or whatever it is, please consider that. That's my ask.
My motion stands.
Well, if there's extra money, I don't know why the board can't say it'll be roll the money over to the next year or bring the money back to the voters at the next year's town meeting.
Well, or give it to them now.
There's no reason not to employ the $25,000 this year, and that money can be, we can.
It's not
Ted,
what it wasn't agreed to.
very
It wasn't agreed to by the town, by the voters. That's not what was agreed.
No,
That sounds great.
Somebody just made a donation. They
realize that,
chose-
but what I'm trying to control government, I'm trying to say that that's not what the voter agreed to. Whether it's right or wrong or better or not, that's a different story, right? I'm not arguing that. What I'm saying is the voter said this much, and now the town's deciding, we have this extra money, so we'll roll to the fund. But what if it doesn't make it into that particular fund, and the voter has to pay for more later? We're not in control of that as voters. So what I'm asking is for the government to be responsible to us in the little control we have to do what was asked, right? I'm not trying to throw away $25,000 that could be used for good use, but I'm trying to help the voters get what they're paying for.
Okay, so the motion I have on the floor has nothing to do with what happens if there's addition of funds. The motion on the floor is to begin the program now, utilizing the funds that were donated to this program, period. Get it started.
Thanks, Steve. Yep.
That's all we're voting on.
Any other comments? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I have a, sorry, I want to
No.
add to the discussion. Can I do that?
No,
Okay, too late?
I think so.
I would like to as well.
Opposed?
I have some comments.
All right, we can have after the vote, the motion is carried. And additional
I've been
comments.
trying to raise my hand and I've written comments, but they're being ignored. I put them in at 6:12.
They're not being ignored.
It's
Well,
very difficult to
I'd like
monitor
to read
each
them because
off.
they went in at 6:12.
Okay, so read them.
Okay, I'm going to start at the bottom because I have experienced in running programs on the island. When you decline a generous donor, you might lose them for life. Why don't we have a special town meeting? Because this is an urgent opportunity that those of us who are struggling to make it out here need this help. For me, the bigger problem is parking. It costs $425. They're selling tickets like hotcakes, and you do not have a guaranteed space to park when you get back to the ferry. So that's an urgent difficulty as far as being a commuter on the island, but needing to be a commuter because I need to have 3 to 5 jobs to live out here. And some of my work, my good work with good pay, is on the mainland.
All right, we are only discussing at the moment this one proposal, which was to utilize the gift to diminish the impact of the ferry charges during the month of June. There are many other issues we can consider, parking fees in Lincolnville, etc. That's not covered by this agenda item. So I hear what you're saying. I'm sympathetic, but I think it's out of order.
Well, some of the other topics we need to address are elders getting to appointments. They need to be able,
We
need
can discuss this. We can
They
discuss
could-
this at the
they
next
could buy
meeting.
reservations so they're not sitting in the sun for 3 hours.
Okay.
Because I don't
We
work
can
there
discuss-
anymore.
We can
Yeah.
discuss, I don't mean to interrupt you, but
Well, we
can
cannot
discuss-
afford to turn down such a generous gift. Some of us are hanging on
We're not- we
with
just
our
approved it.
we
fingernails.
just approved it. Here, I mean, we just approved the use of the gift to start the program as soon as possible based on the attorney's comments back on it.
All right, so I don't see that there is another issue vis-a-vis the ferry fees that we need to discuss here. John.
May I just, this is more procedural than anything else.
Yes.
I have spent extraordinary amount, well, this may be a misapprehension on my part, but my understanding was that part of the reason for the donation was an effort to get this program going.
Right.
So I have spent an extraordinary amount of time since our last select board meeting trying to make that happen. And I think we are basically pretty ready to go. The schedule I gave would have us at least do half the month. If someone, be it Steve or you, Peter, or
Yeah.
somebody, could contact the attorney.
We will do so.
Because I'm reasonably confident that we will get a green light.
We
I can-
have already agreed to that.
Well, then I can try to do this under the schedule that I
Okay,
proposed. That's my only point.
Right.
Thank you for your
okay.
consideration.
Amy, did you want to make some comment as well?
You all voted. I'm happy with the vote. So no.
Okay, thank you.
Keep going.
All right. Going to new business. The first item on the agenda is discussion of establishing a short-term and long-term community goal, like Bellsboro, and attractive community for families. Steve, do you want to speak to this? Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you. This is a 2-hour, but, so what I did, and it's in our packets, I went out and just researched, the island communities, what happens when schools are closed. And it's the evidence is, I mean, it's 7 pages, so, but the evidence is very clear that, if the school doesn't continue to be a vibrant, aspect of the community, the islands that have lost their become basically retirement community. The economics of the community go downhill. I mean, so this is a 7-page. If anybody wants it, I carry it. This it's part of
I think we have.
documentation for others outside of the board or can be made. But the point was, all right. So then today I think it's just all I want to do is introduce an idea, because I also was asked participate. The community center has this steering committee, a committee on top of a committee where they're doing a 5-year plan, and I'm one of the people who are not on that board to listen to what they're coming up with. And then you have the preschool going on, and then you have these other, and what I realized was that all these charters, the committees were built to be able to provide a specific benefit to the town. But we're at a, I would say, kind of a tipping point. And the need for all of these committees to continue what they're doing well, but then to have a kind of a centralized goal to work towards is critical right now. Because I see the preschool, it's so fantastic. The recreation committee adds to that. All of the ICC has all these programs. If we're able to express to Mainers that are not on the island, from a standpoint that, it's almost like, where else would you want to be where you can have children grow up in a very safe, blah, blah, the whole message through junior high and even the high school. Look what you get. That's pretty powerful, because Camden's Camden's elementary and preschool are way off, Belfast are way off, so we're not the only ones looking at declining enrollments.
But I think,
Well, let me finish the point then. So my thought here is you kind of come up with this, hairy big gorilla goal. That, it's Islesboro 2030 or, some term. And what does that include? Housing, attracting education, the magnet program, the elementary, the preschool. If we can have everybody incorporate whatever that small tight message is into their plan, would that allow us to be much more effective in the town? Because what's interesting, 2 or 3 families make a difference. And we know we've lost 2 families going off island. So, it can be negative the other one, but if we could bring 2 or 3 families and then add maybe 1 or 2 more, that'd be cool. And, have the housing stuff. So I threw that out just for discussion, and we can not solve anything today, but I wanted to start the conversation.
But keep my long list of remarks to myself for a later discussion then. I fail to see the need for this myself. Simply because in our Looking Ahead program that we've talked about a few times, we pretty much say almost explicitly that sustainable growth requires fiscal responsibility. Islesboro must continue to moderate Waldo County budgets. Good management of present resources, careful planning, prudent budgeting, well-constructed initiatives that will add jobs, commerce, maintain fiscally sound tax base. There's another section about families and organizations should continue to have a tradition of welcoming and helping each other, making special efforts, including reviewing housing, commercial innovation, tracking the business, and social. So my kind of overarching issue, I suppose, is that we already do that. And I have to say that coming from, again, just sort of my perspective, these sorts of pushes make me feel like the indication is that the concern is more for attracting new people, more so than it is maintaining and sustaining the community that we already have.
Here.
And I struggle with the idea of marketing ourselves to other people based on how incredible of a place we are, when the reality of the situation for the working family that we also claim to want is $6 a gallon gasoline, $7 a gallon for heating oil, $7 a dozen for eggs, a ferry ticket price that the only realistic way to make it possible is to raise your taxes to then subsidize the ferry price. I think we need to be focusing far more on what we can do for the people who are here now to make the community appealing, so that when we go to market it, we have something to fall back on. I have a lot of conversations with people about things like, if someone wants to come out for a day trip, where do we go? Right? You go to Town Beach? Yeah, you go to Town Beach, and there's, the parking spaces are falling in on themselves, the barbecues are rusted out into pieces. You go up to Joint Point, and there's a picnic table. We don't even have things to make life, aside from peace and quiet, basically, we don't have a whole lot to make life attractive and sustainable for those of us who are already here, outside of, again, peace and quiet, which would theoretically be impeded by bringing in a lot more families. I think we really need to be, I think there's too much of a push for attracting new people when we have enough problems that we need to handle on our own before to even make life so we aren't losing the folks. Effective, basically, is where I have plenty more little bullet points I can go on that, but my opinion is that we already have this plan within our Looking Ahead plan, and we need to be doing a better job for those of us who are currently here, more than worrying about anyone who, even according to housing committee surveys, people who unfortunately don't even want to live here, they don't want to live here already. So I think the hurdle is more of a cultural hurdle than it is anything that we're going to do to spend money on putting money toward housing or lowering a ferry ticket price by increasing your taxes. Or I just think we have a lot of problems that we need to take care of for those of us who are already have paid into the system. And I know that that makes me sound sort of like as the term populist or nationalist or something. But when it comes to what I see as a very much working class individual in this town, I have friends who ask me about like, what's it like to live on an island? And I tell them, don't come. Because there isn't a place to live and there aren't jobs and everything is twice as expensive and there aren't resources and there aren't services and there aren't. So what really are we trying to advertise other than housing that doesn't exist?
Pete, in a way, you're hitting the nail on the head because it's complex, multifaceted. We've talked about this, but it's complex. It covers a lot of topics, and attracting people to the island is one of those topics. There are many topics, and I wrote a proposal that a number of people on the board and many people in the community have seen. But I think what Steve is proposing is a very important part of it. It's bigger than that. And what I would propose and what I had planned to come to the board with next meeting is a proposal that the board take the 2018 comprehensive committee plan, convene a comprehensive committee to do a jumpstart, fast track comprehensive plan for 2026 with the sustainability focus. In other words, look at all those things that you're talking about that are all interrelated and have that committee look at all the different things that the comprehensive plan covered and come up and bring to the board a recommendation of an action plan to tackle the various things. And it needs to include alternative ways of paying for this sort of thing because we can't increase taxes on the people that are here that are suffering from taxes already. But the problem, the situation is the community's dying. The community's dying. There aren't the young people here.
That's not a good.
That is, I vehemently disagree with
That's not a good.
Harry
thing to
is
say.
waiting to speak.
Actually,
you know
two
what?
people on Zoom had their hands raised
All right,
for a long time. So first was Kate and then Ted.
okay. Kate,
Yeah, I just have kind of what following up on like what Pete is saying, kind of I agree with him a lot about that. It does often feel like there's so much focus on bringing in new people, specifically families. And I understand why we need families. I understand the school. I understand it's really important for a community. I agree with that. But my concern is that we focus so much on family, but like knowing that we are the oldest town and the oldest county in Maine, like we need young people in general. And it's very off-putting to me that most things are like focused around families. And I want families to be here, but like I think that, those of us that are single or childless, we have a lot of value in this community. And I like the ferry ticket thing is an example of that, like Anita brought up in the meeting where it's like, and I think John was saying that a lot, this is focused towards nuclear families. Well, a community is made up of a lot of different ages of people, and younger people without children are also really important. And so I just wanted to say that I don't think it's necessarily intentional, but I think the message would be more effective if it wasn't just families and it was more young people in general that could, contribute to the community. That's it.
Thank you.
Ted, did you want to?
No, it's well said.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. Yeah, I think that's all. I think Stephen has a good point that you need a mission that people can also get behind and follow and feel good about. So there is the emotional part of that and the cultural part of that. And so what is the culture people want and where are we going? I would say the challenge I have, and I think a lot of people I know have, is that we are focused so much on bringing in new people that the change culturally has been dramatic, where you don't even recognize the guy that you used to know 90% of the people by. And so we're kind of missing that, right? We're becoming a suburb, and Steve said all these things. So anyway, I'm rambling about that, but I don't disagree with anything anyone said in total, but I do think you need some guiding light to get behind. And I think something like bringing back the old plan, but making it digestible for people, because right now it's a lot of government speak and government speak. It's a lot of committee speak, but we do need some goals, but we just need to stop being negative and feel good about ourselves again too. I do agree with that. So whatever language we use, language is important. We stop just saying we need new people, right? What about the people here? We need to talk about what is good and not try to overcomplicate things. I think we have a lot of complication, a lot of people really busy on the island, doing things that aren't hitting their bottom line, and just get back to living. Anyway, that's a very generic thing, but I do think we need to bring it, do have some kind of a goal, and it would be good to have.
I think there is a proposal to continue this discussion at the next meeting. I would just like to say that the population of the school has gone from over 100 to projected somewhere in the 40s next year. There is I think, potential demand for housing for people, for younger families that hasn't been reflected in all the in the surveys that were done by the housing committee. The easiest and most effective way to address the diminished school population is through the magnet program, which needs to be re-energized. But fundamentally, to your point, Ted, to Pete's point, and to Dan's points, I don't see these are mutually exclusive from one another. I mean, I don't know how we're expected to address the price of gasoline, the price of eggs, and I think we've heard from the Ferry Advisory Committee how ineffectual we are at trying to affect the ferry prices.
I mean, that's part of it, is what we're up against is bigger than us.
Absolutely, but I don't believe that we can't, even given our limited resources, renovate the barbecue pits at the town beach, or have better picnic tables or whatever. I mean, we're not even on the same arena as addressing the problem of diminished population in the school.
But if we work on ourselves, it's gonna become more attractive for people. People keep moving out here, and then it sucks, and then they leave, and then they sell their house for $200,000 more or Airbnb it. And that's not any one person's fault, and that's not solvable by us, but I think recognizing that, I don't know.
I actually think we can address.
I think so too, yeah.
Okay, so wait, we gotta get back to the decorum where we identify who's gonna speak.
Right.
And not allow everybody to just jump in. We have a hand raised here.
Okay.
You need to point.
Okay, I want to make sure that the school population thing is understood. First, they've been talking about that for at least 8 years. This isn't a surprise. Everybody's been talking about school. It's been 8 years that I know of that they've been talking about this, seeing it coming on the horizon. All of a sudden talking about it like it's a rush or something we didn't know. No, we've known. I've been at school. We've been seeing it happen, all of that. I also think that while you sit there and you commend people who have spoken, I would like to also point out Kate's point, which was single people on their own cannot afford a house out here on their own. That is the point. We understand there are families, we understand there's this. Single people, you cannot get a place to stay. And that's it. And the people, if we want to have another committee, if you want to have all that stuff going on, that's great. But people need help now for places to stay this summer. The town should be paying more attention to that, to the immediacy of this, to support this community. And to see that all these houses really do go. The people buy them, summer people buy them, and then they're off the market for anyone who might be able to afford it. It's not okay at all. We have to have some form of either raising some revenue from second, third, fourth, whatever homes, or something that comes back and helps the town people, who are the ones, the year-rounders, no offense to some people, but the year-rounders are the ones who to get through the winter, to get to the summer. They are the ones who deserve some release and some relief. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve?
So, I think I'm very pleased with the discussion. Kate, I thought it was brilliant. And my point here, what I wanted to do is open the discussion because I think I wrote a redraft of looking forward. It's too broad. In my opinion, it's BS. You hear the anxiousness of people talking. I hear that. We have to narrow down what we can address, not what we can't address. And we need to say, okay, how do we, what is the most critical aspect? Max 3, probably 2 points. And that's what I want to, my suggestion was develop a primary goal that we all say that's what it should be. So the point, it's not families, it's not just how it's how do we make that into something where, the committees and everybody is saying, it's working towards that, because we're just, I read the responsibility of the select board. It's to set strategic direction. And we really haven't set a strategic direction since I've been on this board. So all I'm saying is, we're responsible for strategic direction, whether it's the looking forward that Pete says is already there, narrowing it down, but we have to listen and represent everyone and then come up with that. And it's got to be done quick. This isn't a 3-4, month. It's like, let's get down and let's start working towards a common goal. And it's going to shift because we're not going to get it perfect, but let's get us all together because it's hard to hear 2 people on the board say, living out here sucks. Or
I like living out
I know,
here.
but I'm just saying, they were good time. So, anyway, I'm done.
I just want, and I'll clarify, I will put my,
Sorry, we have another.
We have
hand raised.
Dan Tudor has raised his hand.
Okay, Dan?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
Great. Yeah, so I mean, I've been listening to everything, and obviously, I've been reporting on this for a while. I think we're looking for tangible, enactable solutions, and I think that Alana made a really good point about taxing second and third homes. That raises revenue, and it also discourages people from buying up more homes who don't need them. And then the other thing that really the issue is that working class wages haven't kept up with the cost of living out here, which is true everywhere, but it's much more acute here. So, I think working as a town cooperatively in some way to address that issue really addresses almost all the issues that we're talking about here. Anyway, I think legally it's tough to put taxes on second and third homes. A few cities in the country have done it, but when I investigated it, it looked like it was kind of hard. But anyway, that's my 2 cents.
New York City has just enacted a law to tax non-resident housing. Any other remarks at this point?
yeah, I just want to clarify because I want to make sure that I'm not misunderstood. That I grew up in Devon's Harbor or, came here as a magnet student in 2004. And I'm now sitting as a vice chair of the select board. So to believe for a second that I think this town is not great in a million ways is out of line. First, and I don't mean that you were, I just want to get that on record. Like I have spent my teenage years, my young adult years, and my 30s, I've been here. And I don't mean to say that when I tell people not to try to come out here, that I do it because I think it sucks. I do it because it's not attainable or sustainable or at all realistic for anybody other than somebody who is living very comfortably. You know, I won't get into the details of it, but it's not to say that I ever thought, or I ever think that this town is bad. And not that I think that it sucks, it's that everything has room for improvement. We have a lot of room for improvement here. And that's partly due to mismanagement, it's partly due to our lack of oversight perhaps over the past few years. And I would fully agree that we need to get, as a board, we gotta get a grip on things. I think that a good first place to start is by making sure that what we vote on is what we vote on. So I don't know how we can, we balance those conflicting concepts, I suppose, but that I'm happy to support anything that puts the town first. But the people who don't live here yet are not part of the town. So that's where I would land on that.
Good point. Any other comments? Yes,
Amy Moments.
Amy? Go ahead, Amy.
Thank you. So as difficult as this is in terms of a conversation, this is also really exciting for me to see so many people have such passion about Islesboro and to really be thinking about how we're going to address our challenges. The challenges, as has already been said, are everywhere, and the communities that are going to thrive in the future are the communities that are going to be able to bring themselves together and address the challenges. So Steve, thanks for bringing this forward. There are lots of people doing this work, and I certainly look forward to participating in things like this. So thanks.
Just to clarify, I wasn't saying Islesboro sucks. I'm saying that people move here without having the full picture of what they're getting into. And then they end up leaving.
Right.
And I mean, how many times have you, made like a new neighbor friend or whatever? And then at some point on the third one, you stop getting, you're almost a little standoffish because it's like, well, how long are you really going to stay? And so, those people we can't do anything about. But if we develop what we have, that is better. But it wasn't my intention to say that the town sucks.
Well, and I would track because I just, so we're all, you're kumbaya. Move on.
I would point out to Alana and others that IAP has built multi-family housing that was more appropriate for a single person to move into than a family. And I think we could complain about the rate at which they're developing the housing. And I, for one, think we ought to support accelerating that process, but
We can
I
switch
think-
houses for a week, then when we accelerate that construction project.
And exactly, I think
You wanna live next door to?
I think that we need to develop a diversity of housing that addresses everybody's needs, not just young families or workforce people, but also residents who can't afford to live here as a single person. I'm a single person.
Yeah, but, I mean, you're also over retirement age, no offense, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think
Just guessing.
just like.
So I know it's a public forum, it could be rude, I'm so sorry, I didn't.
That's okay.
Imply
I
it.
don't,
67.
I'm pretty thick-skinned.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, for one, and I know that IAB is really sensitive to developing a diversity of housing at a diversity of prices.
Okay, but there's other ways that it can also get done, it doesn't just have to be
Absolutely.
a charity
Absolutely.
or a nonprofit.
Absolutely.
And we also have to pay attention to the zoning laws
Right.
and revise those so that this sort of thing can be done by
Yeah.
anyone instead of depending on one place with.
And I absolutely, in my administration, I absolutely put a very high priority on doing just that.
Oh. You got 1 year.
Yes, I think,
Unless I'm impeached.
Yeah.
All right,
Great, so.
can we move along here? So about a year and a half ago, the then select board asked me to study how to expand the parking on Ferry Road. And this has turned into a very laborious process, but we did have a meeting here. Carrie, you can remind me when it was, but we had the board approved the tentative plan, which is up on the wall there, with also organizing a public meeting, which we held. And at the moment, what we have is a schematic plan. It's not cast in stone, but we met with DOT that is actually controls the roadway. And we developed a plan to add significant number of parking spaces. We also discussed at the public meeting the idea that there would be reserved some spaces for campers on Warren Island and for elderly people or people on the island who needed a place to park. But the majority of the use of parking along the guardrail and along Ferry Road at the moment is occupied by contractors that are based on the mainland. And they are taking whatever cost they incur and absolutely charging their clients for that. So it isn't even the contractors coming out of their own pockets. And we proposed a fee of $300 for the parking seasonally on the Ferry Road for a 3-month permit, I think, or something along that line. And we had a much lower fee for resident parking, which had to be coordinated with the parking that occurs at the ferry landing now. All of this was reviewed publicly, and what we're waiting for now is a refinement of the construction drawings and putting this into the budget for paving this summer. And I would love to hear any other comments anybody has, but I don't believe I think we've already approved it.
well, wait, the budget's done, so
No,
what do you mean?
I mean, the budget there is an amount in the budget for paving
Okay,
that's not determined, and it's not clear what that covers at the moment, but it could cover this.
was there a line item for paving that in the budget? I don't recall that.
No,
Not for this, what he's saying is it wasn't for this exact thing, but it
No.
also wasn't earmarked for any other specific paving project, so
Sorry.
perhaps we could use that.
That paving, our general paving,
I think, right,
We,
that's my.
right, and we are not. Right. There is paving the existing area that's now in dirt, but there's actually the parking along the guardrail, which is already paved and striped. We're just not permitting. But we now would have the authority to do that. The state has ceded that authority to us. And paving, we have an estimate of something like $50,000 to pave and stripe the area that is on. And if we can't afford it this year, we will go into.
we
the next
still
year.
set up the parking along there, and charge.
Well, it needs to be striped,
Okay,
which you can't do, yes.
I'm sorry, just asking for clarification, the
Yeah.
on-island parking that would be paid for, would that be reserved spots or is it come first?
Hasn't actually been determined, but there would be only those permits issued at the contractor price for less than the number of spaces there are. So there would be a reserve.
They would, but would those people definitely get a spot? Like in Lincolnville, you're not guaranteed a spot, but even if you buy a permit, so if we're gonna buy a permit on Ireland, are we guaranteed a spot? 'Cause
I
that
don't
should be
think
part of the conversation.
we aren't doing that now, are we? I don't know.
We don't guarantee a spot, but also a parking permit out here at Brindle Point's like for
Overnight.
overnight is for an island for.
$20.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're talking about $300, then.
No.
Hey,
That was not for an island resident. That was just for a business, a contractor.
an off-island contractor
Right.
specifically, an off-island business versus an on-island business.
Yes.
But will, if, say that it's $100, I'm sorry, I didn't go to those meetings, I didn't know it. Will there be, if it's a certain significant amount of money, there should be, like, if you're paying for that, if you're a contractor paying for that, then they should get a reserved guaranteed spot of some form.
Well, or if there's 20 spots, you only sell $2,300.
Yes.
Right, that would be, that,
But
That's,
you should have, people still pull into other people's spots all
Well,
the
then-
time, so that
they-
it should be a guaranteed,
well, yeah, but I mean, how do you, point is, there's 20 spots along the road.
right?
And you come 2 hours later, there should be a spot for you. But it shouldn't be spot 4. It doesn't matter if it's spot, because if someone pulls in your spot,
Right.
then we have to tow them or do what they do in cities.
Well, that contractor then misses the ferry, or somebody misses the ferry. it's
No, I'm
the
saying,
contract.
it's over here.
Right, but that's the point I'm trying to make, is that if somebody's paying for a spot, they should get a spot. That ticket goes to that spot, and that way people get guaranteed a spot, and you know pretty easily.
Yeah.
It's bad enough off island to have
I
struggle on island.
absolutely hear your sensitivity.
I just wasn't at those meetings, and I'm
The-
sorry.
The minutia, the details of how this would work are still being worked out.
Okay, but if you're talking about paving it, then you should really have a good plan in mind.
Oh, definitely.
But you just said that it's too minutia.
No, I think, it's a work in progress.
before we dip to.
Go ahead, sorry.
Was that what you were raising your hand to point out, Ted?
Yes.
Okay. Just to piggyback, my only comment about it is basically right along with Alana and what was said a second ago about the, overselling spaces on that side. I think it would be a worthwhile conversation for us to have as a board, not just for this, but perhaps with all the, passes that we sell, to perhaps figure out a way to number the spots when we strike them. And when we sell passes, say your pass is number 1, yours is number 2, yours is number 3.
That's fine.
Just as something to think about, because I've never purchased a parking pass for this very reason, because I don't want to waste money and then not get to park. And that's just, well, I probably don't eat very often, but when I did. So I think it would be wise for us, this is a good way, like a good jumping off point to start that
Yeah.
conversation.
Right.
Good point.
Otherwise, I think it's a great idea. I think we need to have more parking. We need to do something about it. We should make some money off of it, and this is a good way to do it, but I do think we should strive to be better than the DOT.
Can I just, Dylan, can you just pass me that? I have thought of my comment. But I just wanted to see what it says here.
And we have somebody with a
Yes, Ted,
question.
Sorry, while we're looking at this, Ted, what you got?
Oh yeah, thanks. I hadn't heard about this being passed or anything. Just so everyone knows, this is a surprise to me. As many times as I've been at these meetings over the last year. First question is, one, this is a done deal. This is all moving forward no matter what. There's no stopping it, or is there still discussion to be had? I just want to make sure that's just a one question, yes or no.
I think the rate schedule and the question of numbering the spaces and buying a particular space versus trying to limit the number of people, the demand through the number of tickets is something certainly that is still up for discussion.
But something's going to be done where okay. So the next thing is, why was this even done? What's the end goal? In other words, is it just raising a few extra dollars for the town? Because there's not a big number in my mind here when you take 300 times even 40 slots and you multiply by 12 months. I don't see that as a big source of revenue, but if that's the goal, that's the goal. But what are the main goals of this?
All right, well, but Ted, we've gone over this in multiple meetings, so.
Yeah, I've been to all the meetings. I don't remember this specifically about this thing, but I probably missed it. I'm sorry, Steve. Yeah. Okay, fine. It's like I asked, I said, no one answered me, but if it's done, it's done. It's not worth conversation. I think we're paving paradise and we're fueling the engine that makes houses cost more, that makes this place, so crowded and the fire is so busy that we can't, get off for a doctor's appointment kind of thing. So while there might be some good things going on because of this that I'm not aware of, we have to look at the macroeconomic factors that we cause because it is becoming suburbia very fast, and this is part of it. So I raise that only as a concern as you move forward with what you do about this. The more you complicate it and make it busy and make it economic versus solving a particular problem we already have, the worse it could get. But I don't know enough. I'll stop.
The spirit of the initiative was not to generate vast amounts of revenue. If the revenue from the selling the spaces would offset some of the cost of developing them, paving them, striping them, so be it. But the problem at the moment is, I think, the demand exceeds the supply in Lincolnville, and in addition, every day at 8 o'clock and 8:15 in the morning, over 100 people have walked onto the ferry and are parking their vehicles on Islesboro on Ferry Road for nothing.
Well, in addition to
And
that,
it seems that is not equitable.
yeah, the issue that let's go back to the beginning, just, and I hate to
It's
do
all right.
this.
I don't want to waste if it's already passed.
There was, the people that were parking on private property when that individual cleared that land.
Yes.
People were parking all over the place. They're parking up towards Scott DeGrasse and that area illegally because everybody was looking for spots. So the initial idea here was, how do we expand reasonably the amount of parking properly that allowed the people who's coming from off island to get a spot, and then cut out like the illegal aspects, because we're getting complaints from owners with people are parking on their property. That was the original intent a year and a half ago.
Yep. Thank you. My comment would have been, well, the property owner should probably put some nails in the ground as we used to, and that takes care of it very quickly. The second thing is, I don't know whether that's solving a problem or enabling what we don't want. And that was my concern when I raised it, was, well, you were helping fuel this gerb wheel. Now, maybe it is good economically for people on the island, but it sounds like it's better for the companies off island. There's plenty of work. As those 100 people show, 100 vehicles, there's enough work. Maybe it should go into, maybe by cooling it down, we focus more of that work to the people who live here and actually bring people over who could live here, and because they're not able to get over and commute over to work. I just bring that up as a way of changing the dynamic cycle.
Ted, the spirit behind the discussion we had of what to charge, which was much less for island-based contractors than for off-island contractors, and much less, almost nothing for island residents or campers, and how that was administered specifically to reserve.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I haven't seen the economic model for that, so I didn't know.
This would not have a noticeable impact on the cost of developing housing or services provided on the island. The amounts of money, this was $300 for 3 months hence. It's not like this is going to affect the cost of construction.
Well, it doesn't, I mean, the construction is not being done by, you know, the 600 year-round residents and, you know, it's being done by other people. And that goes back
Some
to,
of it is,
so,
some of it is, but.
yeah, some
but
of it is, but, you know.
We made
okay.
an honest, I think, reasonable effort to not punitively treat people on the island. But to generate some revenue from
Yeah.
off-island contractors.
Yeah,
The main spirit behind it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thank you. I was trying to flip it over and say, well, maybe there's another way to look at it and say, prevent that behavior and benefit us even more. Anyway, I haven't seen the model, but thank you.
Well, it's the Wild West out there right now.
I do just want to point out that part of this conversation began, if I recall